What would you say are the new possibilities that are enabled by AI technology in terms of how music is created, shared, sold, that you're currently most excited about?
The one thing I am actually excited about is when you have movies, you have these very visionary directors, and they need a whole crew to execute on that, which is probably not going to change anytime soon. But music is a tiny bit of a different beast. So you're going to have more creators that are holistic, that has an artistic vision, both visually, storytelling, music-wise, show, and basically these, wonderkid type personas. And they're going to express itself more and more. Where people who, maybe in the past needed also just navigate relationships and, win-wins and lose-lose and all this sort of navigation with bureaucracy in the industry, where they're going to have a much shorter path to be able to execute themselves.
Yeah.
So you're going to have these much more clear, single-minded storytellers that just have something very specific they want to express and can execute on it. And I love that. So I think a few good examples is like Lauv, if you know him, like a American artist that did this a few years ago, like basically alone, write the songs, produce the songs, sing the songs, perform live. Maybe less so like Ed Sheeran, but still like that can work holistically.
A lot, yeah.
Or Charlie Puth, is a good example.
This guy is fantastic. Phenomenal
Jakob
guy.
Collier. So there's a lot of these creators that will have more opportunity to self-express with technology, and we're going to see more of those, which I think are ultimately oftentimes the most interesting artists.
And I love the idea of distance from thought or idea to result being shorter. Just being able to materialize whatever's in your mind and get it out there. And then see how it plays out, maybe get some feedback and then reiterate, make something new.
Yeah.
Just shorten the feedback loop, shorten the iteration loop.
I think there's going to be there's going to be a bigger gap. So one of my big sorrows is seeing people pursuing music when they shouldn't be, in my book. Like, it's great that you love making music, but you're never going to freaking make it. And I think that's going to be more evident with technology. The playing field is going to be more leveled, and the people who should be expressing themselves will be expressing themselves more clearly. And the people who shouldn't be, or a person who's been studying their instrument for 15 years but really doesn't have anything to say, they're going to be filtered out more quickly, which I ultimately think is a good thing, because I've seen the dark side of that moon.
Yeah.
I have seen, wouldn't call it friends, but colleagues or people I know that, spent 15 years pursuing a dream and then they need to abandon it. And then I could maybe claim in the first place, you really hadn't anything to give in the first place, but happy you spent 15 years pursuing that, which you probably shouldn't have had. So I think there's a lot of sorrow in that, and it's not because of that I want to discourage people to pursue their dreams, but let's be realistic first. Are you unique? If not, maybe do something else.
This is a great perspective, because it really speaks back to the feedback loop. Since the feedback loop is so much shorter, you don't have to, wander in the desert for 15 years wondering, will this resonate with people? Will this make sense or not?
Yeah.
Because very often, there could also be a mix of, people procrastinating rather than really giving it their all to see if it works. But you can make, if you really want to do something, you can make the feedback loop so short that you can figure it out, and then you don't suffer the alternative cost. What could I have spent all these years, all this effort on instead?
Life at the end of the day is also practical. I think there's time for youth and ambition. And I think there's relevance in pursuing a single-minded pursuit for some time. But I think ultimately there's other things in life that can also provide joy, even for a dreamer, which is, relevance, where I think a lot of people miss out on that. Are you relevant for the industry, the people around you, for kids in the future? Are you a relevant provider?
We spoke about AI Jake earlier, this avatar that you created. Do you use him today?
No. I have had a few other experiments that are sort of in a similar lane, something that's also really, really cool, but I just haven't launched because I couldn't find the scalable value. So I do a lot of these experiments, less so the last year, but most of the times I have a side project going on. Right now, I'm not going to release it, but had this side project that's really, really interesting, which is also music related, is basically one of the next steps of AI Jake. So I used to be a songwriter producer. My biggest hurdle was that I wasn't a good enough instrumentalist to do a lot of things myself. So I needed people around me to help me do it, which was too costly.
Yeah.
I've written a whole album with like AI tools, like spent a lot of time on it, really a lot of time, like with lyrics and basically making music. And then I found a team to reproduce the tracks, almost exactly like AI. So you can actually, legally speaking, own the master rights. And then I've made voice clones of myself, so singing voice clones of myself, which is a 1-to-1. Because I myself have released 2 albums and 3 EPs in the past. They're hidden on the internet. You're not going to find them. But so I have a lot of like tracks of my voice. So we've cloned my voice in an AI
so you
model.
can train it on
yeah,
that,
and then we take these AI songs with these vocals and we take and strip it out from all effects, and we just basically transform that AI vocal to my vocal. So it's basically like a test project I've done called Yamin, where it's basically my AI Jake that's singing my songs, but the creation method has been fundamentally different. So I have that out there. I can also show you something after the podcast.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So it's basically, you can hear me singing things that I've never sung in my life, but it's a 1-to-1 replica of my singing style and voice.
What do you think is the fastest way for creators, different kinds of creators, to negotiate sustainable partnerships? Because you've done quite a lot of that in different capacities over the years. Is there some advice or some learnings that people earlier in their journey could maybe learn from?
I think take it as far as you can yourself. There is so little money to be had, both in entrepreneurship and in music. And if you bring in too many people too early, whatever potential you will live out needs to be separated in so many pieces of the pie that there's nothing left. So it's the brutal truth and it's the uncomfortable truth that you can only share it with that many, and make sure that you take care of yourself first, because you need sustainability in order to provide value over time. So if you're a person that needs a lot of help, maybe it's not for you, which is kind of brutal, but the reality. So be able to do it yourself very, very far is probably the best way to do it currently and probably also in the future.
If you were to take a guess from what you've learned so far, what would be a valuable skill, you think, moving forwards to acquire? And how could you maybe acquire that skill fast as well?
The most important skill that I can see right now is curation. So when creativity and expression and output is at your fingertip, how can you curate the best? How can you have clarity on your vision and just use all those moving pieces to tell one narrative?
Yeah.
So I believe in music, I believe in tech, I believe in entrepreneurship. That's where the primary skill set lies. Again, back to the movie director. So that is the persona that I believe will succeed the most in the age of AI, is the curator.
The curator.
So the people who have that skill set, in my book, will win.
If you appreciated that, then click here for more content like this. Go on, click it. And don't forget to subscribe. Be well.